Look at this loaf of bread. It feels like the symbol of civilization, right? But the history of bread is far darker and older than any bakery. For decades, we were taught that bread was the prize of the Neolithic revolution, the result of us finally settling down. But what if I told you that we were baking bread before agriculture even existed? What if the hunger for bread is what forced us to start farming in the first place? To understand this, we have to look at the prehistoric human diet. Millions of years ago, ancient humans weren't master chefs. They were living on the edge of extinction. They were scavengers on a savanna survival mission, constantly scanning the horizon for a meal. They survived on bone marrow and brains, calorie-dense gold hidden deep inside long bones that even the powerful jaws of hyenas couldn't crack. This was the ultimate scavenger diet, requiring patience and precision. They relied on their wits to scavenge scraps and the occasional wild honey for a sugar craving fix, a biological high that kept them energized. Their bodies were fine-tuned for nutrient absorption from raw meat and insects, thriving on a high-fat, high-protein intake. So, did ancient humans eat carbs? Not exactly in the way we do now, but their dietary instincts were always hunting for the next big energy hit to power their brain expansion. This evolutionary programming was the foundation of our existence, a time when protein hunger and scavenger diet were the only things between them and a cold night. We were machines built to seek, to hunt, and to scavenge, constantly chasing the next calorie-rich breakthrough. Then we found the oldest bread in the world in the Black Desert of Jordan, dating back 14,000 years. This is bread before farming, a discovery that shattered our understanding of the timeline of civilization. Using stone mortars and pestles, these hunter-gatherers ground up wild grains, like wild barley and einkorn, into a primitive, coarse flour. This wasn't just a snack to stave off hunger, it was a historical recipe for social bonding, a cultural gathering that happened long before permanent villages were ever built. Residue analysis proves they weren't just eating raw grain. They were actively mixing ingredients and using fermentation to transform them. This indicates an ingredient blend designed for flavor and digestion, not just calorie counting. This reveals a sophisticated side to the hunter-gatherer lifestyle we rarely give them credit for. I have to ask you, does this prove that our evolutionary programming was never about survival alone, but about the ritual of eating and community? Were we driven by a primordial impulse to create, to share, and to belong? What do you think? Were we born to farm to sustain a growing population, or were we just looking for a better way to make that one perfect loaf of bread that brought the tribe together? Drop your thoughts below. I'm curious to know if you think bread was the true civilization catalyst. This process of fermentation was the true civilization catalyst that shifted the course of human history. Just think about it. This wasn't just a kitchen accident. It was a revolutionary shift in how we interacted with the natural world. Much like the famous drunken monkey theory, where our ancient primate ancestors instinctively sought out fermented fruit on the forest floor for an energy boost, these nomadic people stumbled upon something far more profound. They realized that by simply soaking wild, tough grains in water and leaving them to sit, something magical happened. It was a form of controlled rot, a calculated risk that transformed inedible, fibrous plant matter into something far more valuable. By allowing nature's microorganisms to do the hard work, these early humans unlocked nutrient bioavailability, essentially letting the fermentation process pre-digest the grain before it ever touched their lips. Think about the grueling reality of the hunter-gatherer lifestyle. It was a relentless cycle of exhaustion, constant movement, and the fear of scarcity. Life was incredibly hard, but consider the humble ingredient blend of just grain and water. This simple combination did more than just fill a belly. It actively drove our gut evolution, altering our microbiome to handle a wider array of foods. It provided the consistent, reliable calories and nutrients needed to fuel our rapidly growing, energy-hungry brains. This wasn't just about finding something to eat to survive the day. It was a brilliant, long-term survival strategy. They were effectively storing energy in a way that had never been done before, turning a wild, unpredictable harvest into a stable food source that allowed them to thrive, gather, and eventually build the very first structures of human society. So, the next time you eat a piece of toast, remember, You're participating in a primordial impulse that is millions of years old. Our ancestors didn't just stumble into agriculture, they chased the bread. From contaminated water sources to ancient monuments, bread was the glue that held us together. We are who we are today because our human ancestors decided that the perfect meal was worth the work. Is our obsession with bread a blessing or the trap that locked us into civilization? Let me know your take in the comments.